Hey everybody, this is John Clark, and I'm going to go with my golf voice for this podcast. This is the Takeoff podcast, and it is presented by Live Casino Hotel here in Philly. A good spot to go have some fun when you're coming down to South Philly for one of the games. And we're talking golf now. That's why I'm in a golf voice. We're talking about the BMW Championship coming to the Wilmington Country Club, all a part of the FedEx Cup playoffs. 70 of the best PGA Tour golfers in the country will be here. So we've got some special guests. Enjoy this podcast, a little golf conversation. All right, and now let's welcome in from the Golf Channel, Todd Lewis. Todd is all over the FedEx Cup playoffs. Appreciate you taking some time with us.
My pleasure.
So here in the Philly area, the Delaware Valley, we're looking forward to the BMW Championship, the next leg of the playoffs in Wilmington at the Wilmington Country Club. BMW Championship, it hasn't been here in a while, so we're looking forward to it. Can you give all the golf fans out there a couple of guys that you would say these guys can win the thing?
Well, Rory McIlroy to start. He's won the FedEx Cup twice. He's probably the biggest star out there right now on the PGA Tour, with Tiger not playing a regular season or events anymore. I think Rory has the firepower. He's been actually playing pretty well this year. He's been consistent. He hasn't won a major championship, and I know that's a big disappointment for him. But he hasn't finished outside the top 20 since before the Masters, heading into the playoffs. So consistently, he's been probably one of the better players. And, you know, he's likable. People can relate to him. He hits it from here to the moon. So he's a lot of fun to watch. I would look out for him. Another guy who is really rising in his stock is Tony Finau, who's won back-to-back weeks on the PGA Tour. He, like Rory, is a very likable, relatable guy who hits it very far. He's an athlete. He's got cousins in the NBA. So, you know, those two guys, I would pay money to watch those guys out on the PGA Tour, no doubt.
Well, and I tell you, they're going to pay money to see him at the Wilmington Country Club. What is it like for you when you hear that an event is coming back up to the Northeast, especially the Philadelphia area, the passion of Philadelphia towards their sports? And, you know, you're talking about some of the best golfers there coming to Wilmington. Yeah,
you know, the PGA Tour bounces around these great sports markets like Boston, Chicago, and now to get back into Philly, where we've had playoff events before, it's really cool because the sports fans they're Philly sports fans. They're some of the best in the world, in my opinion, maybe the best. So when you combine that with these great players, these stars, I mean, it's really cool. And for the players, they feed off that energy too. They like you know, especially when they're playing for an $18 million FedEx Cup check, and of course the FedEx Cup trophy and the honor of being FedEx Cup champion, to have that energy and that buzz around them really motivates them.
What is the vibe like at the St. Jude Championship? There's some interesting things going on with Cam Smith. Of course, it's reported he's going to go to Live, or is it LIV? Is it Live or LIV?
It's Live.
Okay,
it's
Live.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's reported that Cam Smith is going to go. He's not commenting on it. What is the vibe there with all this, since he's the number two right now in the playoffs?
Right. Well, to get a little bit into the golf weeds, 3 players asked for a temporary restraining order from a judge in Northern California to grant them access to play the FedEx Cup playoffs. And those 3 players all play Live Golf Tour. The judge denied that TRO. So that was a pretty significant win for the PGA Tour. But there's a lot of tension between PGA Tour players and Live Golf players because a number of them are suing the PGA Tour, ultimately its membership. I mean, there are friendships that on the low end are stressed, on the high end are fractured because of the decisions that these Live golfers are making. I was there in Memphis last week, or this week, I should say, and there was a lot of animosity. So I'm interested to see how this all plays out, but it's definitely a stressful time for both organizations.
Now we see at the St. Jude Championship, we got Cam Smith reportedly going to Live Golf, and he's there looking at his putt. He's trying to see what's going on with his putt. And then you see Scotty Scheffler walk right in front of him and right through his putting line, which is a no-no. Are these things now kind of coming out there on the course?
Yeah, you hope that they're respectful in the game. I mean, golf is not really the in-your-face kind of sport like basketball, football, baseball, and hockey, of course. But I mean, like I said, I mean, it's really it's really interesting talking to PGA Tour players. I haven't talked to Live Golf guys, or that much, I should say. And you can tell that both sides are kind of throwing salvos towards the other one. And I mean, it could get messy as this lawsuit keeps pending and progressing to decide where exactly the landscape's going to look like in a year or so.
How do you think the players feel about Cam Smith, who will probably come to Wilmington and play in the BMW Championship? And it's reported that right after this is over, the playoffs are over, he's going to go to Live Golf and he's going to take the money they're offering. What do you think the vibe is when he's allowed to play in these events right now, but he's bailing, he's leaving?
Yeah, it's pretty icy. You got to understand that the PGA Tour players, let's use Cam Smith as an example. I mean, he's had a phenomenal year. He's won the Players, he's won the Open, he's number 2 in the world. So it would be a big get for Live Golf, and obviously a blow for the PGA Tour if he leaves. The PGA Tour players don't really have any animosity for guys going over to Live Golf. Hey, you made your decision. They may not agree with it, but okay, you're playing for the money. You're not playing for legacy. That's your decision. Okay. They have the problem with these players that are suing the PGA Tour to play on Live Golf and the PGA Tour, because they're saying you took your money to go over there. Now you're trying to take our money too. And that's when it gets personal. So I don't know if Cam Smith is going to go to Live Golf. He still has a decision to make. And if he goes, if he's going to be a part of the lawsuit to try to play on the PGA Tour, if he's smart, he probably shouldn't try to sue the PGA Tour. We'll see.
Yeah. And I believe Justin Thomas kind of said, you can have your cake, but you can't eat it too. And it's saying what you just said. So, I'm reminded of wrestling when all these guys left the WWF, the NWO was formed. I mean, it's pretty wild what we're seeing setting up over the next year here.
And it's funny you say that, because we've been saying that here at Golf Channel with Phil Mickelson is Hulk Hogan.
The beard and everything.
He's got a little bit of a beard and everything, and he's the one that was recruiting players according to the lawsuit. They came out. That's why the PGA Tour obviously suspended him for a little longer than normal. But yeah, it's definitely divisive in the game. My only concern is for the fans. I don't want this sport to be fractured so much that the fans say, hey, I want to watch the best against the best. If you've got two organizations splitting players, then why am I going to watch golf? That's the scary thing for both organizations. So I hope that doesn't happen.
So if it's Vince McMahon, the great wrestling promoter who's stepped down, obviously, but he would try to pit Live Golf against the PGA Tour, could we see in the future some events where they compete against each other, either in singles or team golf or something like that?
Well, from everything that I have seen, heard, and read, I would say no. These two, it's turned just about personal on both sides, from Greg Norman to the PGA Tour to the players on both sides. It's tough right now. I don't see these groups coming together to try to work together. At least right now, maybe that'll change over the next year or two. I don't know, but we're just going to have to wait and see.
Give me an idea of when all these great golfers come to the Wilmington Country Club for the BMW Championship. They actually had a tornado come through. I don't know if it was a year ago or so, and they lost like over 100 trees. So they kind of had to make the course a little tougher without those trees, bunkers in certain areas and stuff. When these guys get to the Wilmington Country Club, what's the process like getting used to the course and writing those notes down about distances and all those things?
Yeah, well, they don't know the golf course, but these are the best in the world. Their caddies come out and measure every inch of grass on that property prior to a player hitting a shot. The player and the caddy aren't learning the golf course together. The caddy goes out and does some scouting and some recon work prior to a practice round, and then they can move the ball either way. They can hit high trajectory, low trajectory, they can figure it out pretty quickly, very quickly, actually. I think, though, the first round, you probably won't see as low a scoring, but as the rounds continue on, we shall see. The PGA Tour staff, they can set up the golf course as hard as they want. They can put hole locations in difficult spots on the greens. They can grow the rough up to 4.5 inches, and that's difficult if you miss the fairway. But again, these are very, very good players.
What would you say if I were saying, hey, I need to put my money on one golfer at the BMW Championship at the Wilmington Country Club? Is there a guy that you say, this guy, he's going to get a win here?
Whew, man, let me just tell you, golf is the hardest sport to pick a winner. I mean, it is so hard, and especially in the playoffs. The good thing about the BMW Championship is that you're not going to have 144 or 156 like you would have at major championships or regular PGA Tour events. You're only going to have 70 players. So the odds just by that are a little better. And you got to see what happens this week in Memphis. Man, I mentioned him earlier, but Tony Finau seems to be ready to make that leap from being a very good player to a great player. I think he's just needed a little more confidence and belief to match his talent. And I think finally he has that. And I'd put a nickel on Tony Finau at the BMW, no doubt.
All right, I like that. So whoever's listening and wants to put a little bit of coin on one of the golfers, that's a good pick there. Are you coming up for the BMW Championship?
I am not. I'm going to be in studio at Golf Central earlier in the week, and I head to the Tour Championship, and it's a huge disappointment. I have a lot of friends in the Philly area, but my schedule is just not working out. I travel 130,000 miles a year. I got to make sure that my wife and daughter are happy in Florida too, so I need to see them and spend a little time with them before heading out to Atlanta.
Nice. I got you. Well, we are looking forward to the BMW Championship here in the Wilmington area at the Wilmington Country Club, August 18th. It's an exciting time with the FedEx Cup playoffs. So a lot can be decided over this next month or so. So we really appreciate your time and spending some moments with us.
Thanks for having me. Sorry I'm not there, but I'm sure it's going to be an awesome show.